Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. My name is Srinivasu. I am the Director of Accessibility at Freshworks. I have been working in the space of digital accessibility for more than 18 years. Accessibility happens to be both my profession and passion because while it gets me all the perks, it also gives me a lot of personal satisfaction. I sincerely appreciate Prakat and the other associated organizations for continuously doing the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which is a celebration to raise awareness about accessibility. So in short, it is called GAD, G-A-A-D. It is all started around 2011 and 12 when Joy Devan, a freelance developer, actually wrote a blog post about how inconvenient it is for people across the world attend conferences that happens in different parts of the world. And could there be a possibility that we can create a platform where people can actually raise awareness about accessibility, even in a smaller scale or wherever they are, and actually makes it a more impactful. And that idea is actually backed up by a gentleman called Jenny Sun, who currently heads the accessibility engineering at LinkedIn. So the idea of both of them has actually come a long way in last 11 years. And each year, a variety of events happen across the world, both virtually and in person. In fact, there are several events are planned for this year as well. More information about Global Accessibility Awareness Day can be obtained from accessibility.day. So in this short video, I will be talking about what are the new things that are happening in the accessibility world, and also a little bit about how organizations can actually build the accessibility practices that are scalable and sustainable. So first, let's talk about what is happening in the accessibility industry and what is actually new. So one of the buzzwords today that is happening is about the generative AI and a lot of things around the artificial intelligence. And at the same time, there are also a lot of things are happening to see how this things that actually get generated through artificial intelligence or the generative AI or the language models, will they really be accessible to people with disabilities? And in fact, I would say that a lot of things that actually comes out of with language models or generative AI are far more going to be accessible because generally the technologies will tend to build things as per the standards, while they actually build the things in faster manner, but they also tend to build keeping the standards in mind. So I think there is a lot of scope and it's going to be a gift for all of us in the accessibility industry that generative AI and language models will actually play a crucial role in making the products and services more accessible to all users. And the World Wide Web Consortium, that is W3C, is a web accessibility initiative group, which actually has something called Accessibility Guidelines Working Group. They have been working on Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2. It was supposed to be made a final recommendation of W3C back in April, but for some reasons and to actually may address some critical issues, it is being pushed to the probably in Q2, right? But there are a lot of interesting things took place in WCAG 2.2 that is covered. Something like, for example, there are 9 new success criteria areas that have got introduced in WCAG 2.2. And also the 2.4.7, the focus visible, which used to be a AA requirement, is now upgraded to single A requirement, because it is so important that the keyboard only users should actually know where their focus is on the screen. So after a lot of discussions and consensus, so it has been moved from AA to single A. And there are a few other new success criteria, something like consistent help and focus obscured and things like that. So there are about around 9 new success criteria, which can be, you'll get to know everything on that WCAG 2.2 document. The URL would be w3.org/tr/WCAG22. That is numeric 2. That is w3.org/tr/WCAG22. Right? So that will actually give us a lot of scope to improve the accessibility of the applications to a greater extent. Also, there is a work happening of the entire rewrite of WCAG 3.0. And when it actually comes out, it is no longer be called as Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, but instead it will be called as W3C Accessibility Guidelines. The reason why we are moving away from web to W3C Accessibility Guidelines is that because in those the WCAG 3.0, the things will be covered something like augmented reality, virtual reality, document accessibility, and all sorts of things. Even from WCAG 2.1, we started seeing there are contents related to mobile accessibility, which is just beyond the web. And we will also talk about the native app application accessibility and so on. So there is a lot of exciting work happening at W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative Group. Like most of you might know already, W3C is now a independent not-for-profit organizations, and they're no longer in the campus of MIT. So physically, I don't know if their offices might be within the MIT still, but now recently they become a independent not-for-profit organization after under the part of MIT for several years. So a lot of exciting things are happening, and there are also W3C is also working on in a lot of other things like evaluation methodologies and ARIA and so on. So a lot of new things are happening, and even in the world of accessibility, people are actually working in very innovative ways to leverage on the newest technologies and make things more usable to everyone, including people with disabilities. And now, how does actually companies, organizations should actually adopt and create the accessibility practices that are scalable and sustainable, right? So as we see the trend of more fast technologies, in fact, the world is actually changing every day, okay, in a very rapid growth. So while we actually address look for semantics and all of that, we should also make sure that we'll be able to set up this accessibility practice in an agile manner, and we actually should be able to adopt the practices that are actually makes our work faster. Something like introducing the accessibility linters for developers, so that what happens is as people start coding it, they will be these linters will actually flag if there are any accessibility issues. So, and also we should actually make accessibility as a practice for the entire product development life cycle. So it should be considered right from the product concept stage, planning stage, design, development, and it is more important that accessibility is included as part of QA, right? So we call it as an accessibility QA, right? So that what happens is, since QA organizations are generally the one who actually know end to end of the product, right? So it actually values so much when we actually include accessibility as part of the QA. And accessibility program can be a centralized practice where they can mentor the developers and designers and QA in learning about, in upgrading their knowledge about accessibility, and also to let people know about what are the new things happening in the accessibility industry, and help the team members to identify techniques, and all these kind of things can be done by the central team. And they can actually even work with the leadership to create strategies for accessibility, and they can create policies for accessibility policies for the company, and so on. So it all of these things will actually help companies scale accessibility without feeling it like a burden to the organization, right? And it will be become more sustainable versus trying to have a single accessibility program or team who will then tend to work with all the teams across and trying to help them out. So if it is actually made it as an integral program within the company, it actually adds a lot of value and work for everybody. I wish all of you a happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and I'm sure all of you would be celebrating in some way or the other. Once again, thank you, team, for both hosting the Global Accessibility Awareness Day and having me. Thank you so much.